Let's take a look at how to perform fit-to-fill editing, which allows us to fit a certain duration of source material into a marked area of the timeline. All right, I'm going to come to my first marker here, and here I have 2 shots edited together of Esther slicing bread and giving it to a toddler. I'm just going to play over it.
Lovely. Good bread is good for you. Yeah. We are a very...
Okay, so I think this works just fine. And the reason I chose to edit 2 shots together is because the actual action of her doing this takes a little too long. So I'm going to perform a match frame, keyboard shortcut F, and I'm just going to play over it to show you what I mean.
He doesn't need any butter on it. James, would you like? Oh, good boy.
Say thank you.
Now.
All right, so it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to, so I edited these 2 shots together. Let's instead try just speeding it up a little bit. And I'm going to mark an in and an out in the source around the action that I want to include, and then an in and an out in the timeline around the area that I want the shot to go. So I'll do the timeline first. Let's just shift drag to this edit point. I'll mark an in, and I'll shift drag to this edit point. I'll mark an out. My duration is 4 seconds and 22 frames. And let's see what part of this shot I want to include. How about from here to there? Okay, so we've got 7 seconds and 3 frames to fit within 4 seconds and 22 frames. Now, if I perform an overwrite edit, which is this on-screen command here, or the period key, then my Fit Clip dialog box comes up. And if I choose Change Clip Speed Fit to Fill and say OK, then all of these frames were sped up to fit within my marked segment in my timeline. So if I zoom in here, you can see that it's at 144% speed, and I'll play over it and let's see if it's passable.
It is really lovely. Good bread is good for you. Yeah. We are a very...
All right, so definitely a little fast, but I don't think it's a deal breaker if you want to see all of those frames. So you can tweak your speed a little bit here, or you can actually perform fit-to-fill editing to do some really exaggerated fast motion if you want. For example, I'm going to come down to this marker down here, and this is a shot where I see the bakers loading the oven. I'll play.
They load them and it takes 20 minutes for 2 men to put in about 160-70 large 800-gram pan loaves. But before it goes in, it has reached temperature, they switch it off, so the bread is actually baked in a falling heat.
Okay, so instead of seeing these nice slow motion shots of the bakers loading the oven, let's see what it looks like when the bakers are really quickly loading the oven in an exaggerated fast motion shot. So I have that right here, all right, and we have 1 minute, 24 seconds and 1 frame marked. And you can see bakers are hard at work loading the oven, okay? And so let's mark the duration in the timeline. I'm going to shift drag, mark an in, and then shift drag and mark an out. And you also want to make sure that you're patched correctly. So if your V1 track is down here, you want to make sure that it's patched up to V2, which now it is. And so we're all set up. I'm just going to press period and then fit to fill and OK. All right, and now we're at 634% speed. I'll go ahead and play over it. You can see what exaggerated fast motion looks like.
They load them and it takes 20 minutes for 2 men to put in about 160-70 large 800-gram pan loaves. But before it goes in, it has reached temperature, they switch it off, so the bread is actually baked.
All right, so there you go. You can decide if you prefer that or the series of slow motion shots that we had previously. So fit-to-fill editing is a really nice way to work when you need to change the speed of your clips, especially when you need to fit a certain action in the source into a specific duration in your sequence.